Yeah, Elijah, what have you seen so far from the Ole Miss defensive backs? Has anybody really stood out to you so far?
Yeah, that's a special group of guys. Like we had a bunch of new players come in and everything. We just trying to get, our team really settled. So um I know Lakevius, he does really well. Jalen Jordan, I get to go against him a bunch at safety. Of course Keegan and Jay Jones.
Nate, go ahead.
Elijah, Jonathan kind of mentioned the freedom of this offense. How does that kind of show up in what you guys are doing as receivers and kind of the freedom that you guys are given?
Well, I feel like it like allows us, to be the players that we are, especially with Lane Kiffin and Levy, it like allows us to really tap into what we are good at. So I just feel like he just puts us in like the best position to be us.
Nick, go ahead.
Elijah, what's your mindset been like these last 9, 10 months since the last season ended? I know it obviously was a tough ending for you last year. Just kind of how have you built off of that and just kind of responded to some of the online criticism you might have gotten?
I just try to flip the page, I got a new coach, and that was a blessing. So I just try to be positive, and leave the past in the past and just become a better player overall, just learn from all my lessons.
Has that been motivating at all, or is it kind of just the same sort of off seasons you're used to?
No, it's been motivating. Of course, being a young man, everyone makes mistakes. So you just learn from. I don't really like use them as losses. I take them as like a lesson. So I just learn from my lessons.
David, go ahead.
Elijah, you talk about being a young man, but you're kind of the old man in that wide receivers room right now. Can you talk about that transition of when you first got here to where you are now, where you're kind of assuming the leadership mantle in that room?
Yeah, freshman year, I remember coming in. I had them big dogs in front of me. I just learned as much as I can, soak it in. Like basically everything that they had taught me. How to be a better leader. Just play fast. Just small things here and there, and always keep in touch with them and to give me still like advice on being a leader and everything. I'm still learning, but I feel like now being a leader in the room, like you got to put everything on me. And I don't mind taking that role. I just want to be that person, who always does everything right. I feel like a leader doesn't really have to speak, as much. He just has to do it like his job correctly.
Nate?
Kind of going off that, I mean, you're not really flying under the radar this year after the season you had last year. How does that kind of change your approach going in?
What do you mean?
I mean, you go into last year, not a lot of people know Elijah Moore, and you put up some pretty big numbers, especially in compared to everyone else in that receiver room. And now you're kind of just the guy, and everyone knows it going into the season. How does that change things for you?
I just really just let God handle that. I don't really focus on stuff like that. Football is gonna take care of itself.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, Elijah, I asked Jonathan Mingo the same question, and I want to ask you too. Your evaluation of the quarterbacks. We don't get to see practice as media people, and so we're kind of dependent on what you guys are telling us. What have you seen from Matt Corral and John Rice Plumlee?
They're both great quarterbacks. They both make good decisions, and both great guys. So, I guess it just comes down to, the small things, So I don't know, only time could tell for real, but it's really hard to, like, decipher them because they're really both great people.
Any more questions? Go ahead, Nate.
Would it make it easier for you if the coaches picked a quarterback a week or two from now and not take it all the way to the start of the season? Does that change anything from the receivers' preparation?
Yeah, of course it does. It makes it easier, like on who to, really get more, I guess, reps with and stuff like that. But one thing I can say from learning from last year to this year is, like, it doesn't matter what quarterback's in there. You just gotta take reps with everyone. Make sure that if something happens, it's next man up. You just gotta be comfortable with everyone. So, and like all the receivers are not making no mistakes. So.
You'll go ahead with your question.
Hey, Elijah, forgive me if you've already answered this. Do you go into this season looking at, hey, if you could raise your stock high enough to leave early and go pro?
I kind of leave it up to God. I don't really want to focus on that. I feel like when players focus on that, they don't play how they should. So I'm going to just leave it up to God. I'm going to just play football. If that happens, that happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
You've obviously seen DK and AJ and some of the guys that were there before you. What do you feel like you have to do on the field to kind of raise your stock?
You got to keep playing football. You got to keep putting on film. You got to play fast. You got to score touchdowns. You got to win.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, Elijah, you kind of got a new old wide receivers coach in Derek Nix, who's been around this program a long time. Just curious what you think about Coach Nix and the job he's doing with you guys this camp.
He does a great job. A lot of the guys, really hold him very accountable. He goes over everything. He touches every point. And with knowing that, he never coached receivers, but he's been around football so long to where, I feel like he knows the ins and outs. He knows the running back, the line. He knows all the protection. So he helps us tap into parts of our game that we didn't even know. So I feel like that's another, blessing, of course.
Nick us.
Yeah, Elijah, there are some other players across college football position we considered out of this season. Just did thought ever cross your mind, or was there something that you really wanted to play something different about it?
I apologize. I really can't hear you.
You were cutting in and out, Nick.
Yeah, I was asked about opt-outs just in general. Did you ever consider it?
No, I haven't. I love football, and I know that, COVID is something very, very serious, but, I feel like that's just something you got to leave it up to God. I'm going to do my very best, to keep safe. We all wearing our masks here at Ole Miss, so I feel real comfortable with the staff and everything that we doing. So it ain't even crossed my mind.